everybody. It is Wednesday, August 26th, 2020, the never-ending COVID year. It is the 7th episode of the Hardcore Smarks, a show where a couple of know-it-all smart marks talk about their hardcore obsessions. I am your host, Zachary, and with me, as always, is J-Bone, Wally5, and Stretch. Guys, how are we doing? Pay-per-view, coming off the pay-per-view weekend. How are we feeling?
Blown away. I think we all personally owe a Mr. Patrick McAfee an apology.
We 100% do on that one.
I've never been more thrilled to be wrong and owe an apology my entire life.
We'll touch on that some more. So,
Yeah.
But that I think we're all kind of eating our words on that one a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And happily.
Yes.
I was like, but let's just get into it. So we're going to bypass NXT for now. So let's go right to SummerSlam. Let's start off with the pre-show. We have the United States Championship. We have Cruz versus MVP.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Fucking cares.
So forgettable. I didn't even watch it.
I
wish
At least
I had to
MVP
watch
came
it.
out to his old music, so that was kind of cool.
I have no notes on this match except that Lashley came out after the match. That's my one note. So.
And then it led to an arm wrestling contest, which was fabulous. So.
Any other comments from anybody here on this one?
At least we got to see Mark Henry.
Next.
Yeah.
That's
Comment
exactly it.
Next. All right, let's go to the Raw Tag Team Championship. We have the Street Profits versus Andrade and Garza.
Montez Ford is the man after
Absolutely,
that.
he is.
That move is cool as fuck.
Right.
Yep.
So that was the best part of that match. That Montez did that twisting whatever splash.
Whatever that was.
He always gets like supreme height on his frog splashes too, but now that he's added like a rotation to it, it's just even better.
It's like he's on his way to the ISS, man. That he is on a rocket trip.
His athleticism is really something special.
Yeah, he almost jumped too far. He almost missed the splash.
And we had to know that the Profits were going to win with, they had to get back at Zelina for poisoning Montrez. So,
and then Ford is really on a whole nother level right now. He's just.
I like their entrance too, with all the cups that come down.
Yeah,
they're kind of cool too.
Their entrance is really their entrance is really cool, considering they don't really have especially now in the Thunderdome, they don't have the fans really anymore. So that's really taken away from their entrance, and their entrance is pretty cool. So they tried to, make it cool, however they can. I still think Montez is the shining star, and that Dawkins is kind of the weak link for sure.
Oh yeah.
Kind of touching off of that too. It was good to have quote unquote fans back again for this. It did add something. I feel like seeing all the people watching and everything.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and touch on that real quick. Just the whole Thunderdome angle, which I was very impressed by.
I like it. I other than them, they need to obviously fix the people that are idiots on it.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think, when you debut something like that, there's going to be, issues. There's going to be tweakings that you have to do. Unfortunately, the person that decided to bring back one of my least favorite wrestlers of all time and put him on a fucking picture, I could have done without seeing Chris Benoit. Yeah. I know how much Jay likes Chris Benoit, so he was probably happy. But
big midget.
I like the Thunderdome. I like it.
Yeah,
it was good to have
impressed
too.
Yeah, the piped in crowd noise was a little to me, but overall I just think having even those faces in the background really helped.
Well, WWE's been doing piped in crowd noise for the last couple of years. It's just we haven't noticed because there's been real fans there.
Well, this is true. So fair point there, Stretch.
It's just more noticeable now since there's not actual people in attendance.
Yeah.
Supposedly at some point somebody came out and was telling them who to cheer, like telling the crowd what to do. I did read that.
Oh, really?
That they were telling the crowd to cheer and stuff. I don't know how much.
They flicked on the applause sign.
Yes, I don't know. I don't know how exactly they did that, but I did read somebody said that they were trying to tell. So I'm like, so I should never go to the Thunderdome because I don't usually ever follow what they say on the. So I'm screwed. I'm screwed then.
I was about to say you don't follow what they say, and you're not really that much of a happy person, so wouldn't want to cheer that much.
Yeah, I like it though. They have a bigger arena like that, and they can do their entrances a little more. I'm a big fan of it.
Mm-hmm. That definitely kind of brings back a lot of that. Just that energy that was missing.
I think as much as the demo god wants to brag about them having fans back, I think that WWE is going the safer route. So I think that it's cool that AEW is going to put some fans in the stands, but I think WWE gets the check mark in this one because they're taking safety into consideration first. So,
yep. All right, let's move on. Excuse me. So we're going to do the Sonya Deville versus Mandy Rose loser leaves match. I have
Garbage.
3 notes. So I have 3 notes. It's all about Rose. So first of all, Rose botches a table setup where she couldn't even pick the table up and set it up.
I was wondering what she was doing with that. I thought maybe the table leg was broken.
Set a table up at this point.
Yeah. And then also Rose kind of botches a chair toss and nearly takes out a cameraman. And then at the end, she also can't do the worm. So that's 3 botches from Rose in 1 match.
And can't wear an attire that doesn't show her lady parts on camera.
A camel toe. Yeah. Just say it, Eli.
The PG podcast, Wally.
The one thing I did enjoy was the running knee party. I think she did about 10 of them in a row.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you guys,
the one move she can do good.
She is garbage. So the fact that I'm reading that, oh, this is cool, they're gonna push her as a face and she's gonna get a push. I'm like, please no push. She is not the person.
I read the dirt sheets that one of the outcomes they were thinking about doing with this match before the whole Sonya kidnapping thing happened was they were going to have Mandy lose and then have Otis come out and cash in his briefcase to save her contract.
Sonya, I feel bad for Sonya, and I'm glad that they're doing, and she clearly needed time off, and we understand. But she is by far the shining star in this scenario for sure. She is most certainly better than Mandy, like head and shoulders above Mandy.
Yeah,
she's got potential, though. I see the potential with her. I don't see it with Mandy. I think Mandy's just a pretty face that they threw in the ring who just doesn't know what she's doing. And just because she's attached to that fat piece of shit Otis, they're going to do something with her now because we want to see her.
Otis, wait.
Yeah, Sonya just needs to take some time. She needs to be able to feel safe again, and then she can come back and hopefully we'll see good things from her once she's better.
That match, they could have not done this match, and I think it would have been fine. I feel like I don't know how much the two of them really wanted to do this match by that point. Yeah. I think they were stuck.
I mean, props to WWE for having other women's matches on a pay-per-view outside of the title matches, but yeah, this one was kind of a rough spot.
Yeah, the circumstances that came up I think it would have been just fine for them to kind of write this one off and just let them deal with their personal business and kind of just.
I think 3 women matches in a pay-per-view is stretching it for me. So I
especially when the third one is
sexist, but just
especially when the third one is that one. So
sure.
I mean, don't get me wrong; the other wrestlers are great, but I just think 3 is a little too much for.
It was too much. If Charlotte and like Becky, and as much as I don't like Becky, if they're not involved in these matches, then the third match doesn't need to be that kind of shit. So,
all right. Let's move on. We got the street fight. We have Dominic Mysterio versus Seth Rollins.
Let Stretch go first on this one.
I was pleasantly surprised by Dominic. A couple of my takeaways. This match ran, I would say, about anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes too long for me.
Sure.
I was fine with seeing Dominic Mysterio's mother backstage. I didn't really care to see her on the ramp and stand there cluelessly for 2-3 minutes. I could have done without that. That could have shaved some time off the match. Dominic's hoodie was annoying me. He kept having to flip it down.
It up.
Coming up. Yeah, that could have been not part of his ring attire. I mean, just good match for his first match. Good start in the ring. I liked Seth's gear too, so it was a pleasant surprise.
There was a theme this weekend between the two shows. We took a green person and put him in the ring with arguably the best person in that promotion to make sure that match went over well. So Rollins was the right person to put Dominic with because Rollins is a guy that can make just about anybody look good at this point. Dominic did fine. I think the match ran too long. I'm tired of the Mysterio Rollins angle too. I think it needs to be done. So it's too much. It's getting And I think Dominic's going to turn, so they need to figure it out here.
Overall, though, like I said, I was very happy with a solid debut from Dominic, who one of our favorite sayings now on this podcast is "look strong in a loss." So
Yeah.
A lot of
I thought that was the best
sticks.
match of the SummerSlam. I thought that was the best match personally. So
I mean, if
A
I'm
lot
ranking,
of-
really good.
I might actually
a lot
agree with
of
you on that
kendo
one,
stick.
J-Bone.
A lot of a little bit too much kendo stick too. I thought, but they were overused the kendo stick. I think
That's their favorite weapon of the PG era.
Yeah.
But the whole
If we had-
family angles, I think they're so corny when they bring the whole, the mom and the husband, wife, and all that stuff. I think it gets corny.
I mean, it was cool that they handcuffed Mysterio to the ring and made him watch. I like watching that idiot.
I did
So-
I did like how Dominic's first match in WWE was at the same pay-per-view that his dad fought for his custody against Eddie Guerrero at. I thought that was a cool little touch.
I mean, I did text Jay the other night after Raw and say, anytime I get to see Mysterio getting lawn darted, it's fabulous. So
I thought it was cool too that Seth Rollins wore Rey Mysterio
Halloween
gear.
Havoc.
Yeah, I thought that
that's
was
what
really
Eli.
cool.
That's what Eli said. That was definitely him taking a pot shot.
Yeah. But it looked good on him too. Like it wasn't like a shitty ring gear. Like it was actually pretty dope. Like he put some of his Messiah like gear on it
Right,
too.
twist. Yeah.
Yeah, you could make a case that was one of the two best. I would say I'd put that one or two for that night, best match wise. I would say that's in the discussion for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's move over then to Bailey versus Asuka.
The weaker of the two
weaker of the two
title matches.
Still solid though overall.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of got out of those matches what we thought.
Yep, basically
Sasha-
played out kind of as we saw it.
Yeah, Sasha took the bump for Bailey, and then Bailey wouldn't do it for Sasha, which is kind of what we thought was going to happen. So I think the Sasha Asuka match was really good.
Let's just
So
let's just combine them. Let's just get all the
Yeah.
comments out. So
I
let's keep it going.
liked the DDT they did off the top rope was really cool in that
Yep.
match.
Yeah,
So,
cool.
and I don't like Asuka, but Asuka, other than the last 2 minutes where they started rolling around, going from the bank statement to the Asuka lock, that part got a little dicey for me. But otherwise, that match was that would be the other match I think that was the match of the night for me.
Yep.
Would be either that or Dominic. And Sasha and Asuka have chemistry. Bailey's she's not quite to Sasha's level in the ring. I don't know why. I can't watch Bailey's matches and be like, as a heel, I feel like she wrestles a little bit different as a heel, not necessarily in a good way. I mean, she's way better on the mic and her character's way better, but I think her wrestling is a smidge different when she's a heel. So she does a couple different moves that I don't like as much now. So
I do only have one note on this match overall, and it's just like I really am nitpicking, but I think Asuka should have come out with either no music or very little music and just asked for the bell to ring, just been like, let's just
the
go.
second time.
Yeah, the second time. So,
for sure.
To be fair, but yeah, versus Banks, because like she came out, it was like nothing. There was no first match. She came out with the exact same music. She still did her whole gimmick. Like it should have been just her like let's go right from the start.
She didn't really sell that she was like tired or like
Yeah.
beat from the previous match, so it kind of nullifies the whole beat the clock challenge angle from SmackDown.
Exactly. So I just again I feel like I'm nitpicking a little bit, but I think it's just better storytelling if she had just come out just kind of like right
You're
for
right.
business.
That would have saved a couple minutes, and the pay-per-view didn't run over or anything. So did it really matter if she came out again?
Yeah.
So if you don't like her entrance like me, then I would have preferred to not see it again. So
All right. Any other comments on either of these matches from anybody?
Nah.
No. All right.
that we got, like I said, we got out of that. The wheels are starting to come off
Sure.
with the two of them. So
All right. Let's go over to then. Let's do the. Which one do you want to do? Do you want to do McIntyre versus Orton?
Nothing special for me, honestly.
Yeah.
Both main events were really nothing special for me.
I don't think McIntyre and Orton was a terrible match. It was just there. It was
a
okay.
decent matchup. It was perfectly serviceable.
It's
The cheesy
Orton.
ending on the backslide pinfall was kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Well, they did that so they didn't have to do a disqualification shit finish because they're not done. Clearly they're going to fight again at some point. So I would have rather seen the backslide ending than some double DQ bullshit. So I didn't. it was a typical Orton match where it's very slow and very plotting. And in his opinion, that's storytelling. In mine, it is and it isn't. So Orton needs to get off his high horse and stop thinking that he's the greatest thing walking around in a wrestling ring right now and realize that he's not that guy anymore. So the match was fine. It was nothing special. I'm not going to remember it a year from now, but it was serviceable.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. All right, sounds like that's going to be it for that one. So then let's just finish off the night then with Bray Wyatt versus Strowman.
The match was a shit show, but Roman coming back saved the whole pay-per-view, in my opinion, to some degree. So
with his new teeth.
New teeth, and
he looks even more like the third Uso now.
And his wreck everyone and leave. I liked his shirt. So
and it probably additional 10 to 15 pounds of muscle too.
Oh yeah, as if he needed it.
Yeah, he was jacked before, and even like he leaned down now and
just came out and fucked both of them up too. Didn't even say fuck both of you.
Gets an immediate title shot the next pay-per-view, which is a couple days away.
Yeah,
which he's probably gonna win. Yeah.
I mean,
way to make the Fiend look as a transitional champion.
Well, I mean, the Fiend
a one-week champ.
The Fiend was supposed to lose to him at WrestleMania, so they're just. I mean, that's all this is.
They delayed that story by 6 months.
I did see the Fiend sent a message to Goldberg and said, if you ever see red, just turn the other way or whatever. So we may see that one again.
Yeah, and I am actually very disappointed. I mean, as excited I was to see Reigns come back, I was very disappointed just to have them completely drop the Alexa angle whatsoever.
Alexa
really was honestly curious to see what they were going to go with this. I mean, I'm obviously hoping for a Sister Abigail angle here, but maybe in the future we'll get something. But at this point, I'm just going to kind of just expect to be disappointed, I guess.
That's a theme with WWE.
Yeah,
It was a street fight or a false count, and they didn't even do anything really cool. Like, it was just it was lame. And then for him to get the box cutter out and then cut the ring up and then take 3 bumps on it, it was like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, at least do 1 bump on there. He let the Fiend, here, I'm going to make this easier for you. Yeah. And then I'm gonna that part of it was dumb to me. So that match was not good. The bumps
in that area weren't even like clean bumps to like obviously to the wood. It kind of looked like it was just like wood adjacent. Even
the Fiend is the Fiend. Like his character isn't appealing to me, but I don't like that kind of stuff. But he's appealing to people. I understand with him.
I'm kind of one of those people as a huge
some appeal.
Fan,
so Strowman's horrible. So,
better than Strowman having the belt. So
at least no ifs, ands, or buts. Strowman is fucking horrible.
Yeah,
so
they gotta figure something else to do with him.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with him. They're going to turn him heel, but you almost have to, like, after Payback, you almost have to put Strowman and Fiend in a program still so they can do whatever they were going to do with Alexa Bliss, because that still needs to happen, I think.
Yeah.
So
he doesn't have main event status, though. They needed to get him out of,
Well, I think he lucked into the Universal title win at Mania because of Roman leaving. But
so Roman is he's not great at everything. He's not the best guy on the mic, but he really is that guy who can just come out and wreck everything and leave. Like, I'm okay with that. If he comes out and says, this is my yard, get the fuck out of my yard, and that's all he says on the mic, that's fine. That's the version of Roman I want to see. If he's going to be a tweener, that's fine. I want him to turn full-blown heel, but I think WWE is afraid to pull the trigger on that. So, but if he's going to come out and do that kind of stuff, I'm fine with him wrecking everyone and leaving. That's fine.
Would have liked it had they not leaked his new merch a couple days before SummerSlam, so it would have been a real surprise, but that's neither here nor there.
So overall, though, what do we think of SummerSlam 2020?
Very forgettable, minus 2 matches.
I'll give it in the C- range.
For me,
same here, especially it being the second or third biggest pay-per-view of the year. You can argue the Royal Rumble for the second or third, but
it wasn't bad enough for me to give it a D, so I'll say C-. It was like serviceable. Like, it was nothing crazy other than Roman. The tagline was, you won't see it coming. The only thing we didn't see coming was Roman at the end of the night. We saw everything else coming.
We did see him coming because of his merch.
So It was serviceable, not memorable. I'd give it a C-. It wasn't bad enough to get a D. So it wasn't as bad as the WrestleMania I went to. So it was better than that, I think. So
I'd give it a solid C. I felt less disappointed by this pay-per-view than I have the last year and a half of main roster pay-per-views. So,
I mean, I thought WrestleMania was decent this year. That's the only one that I would have given that a B-, I think. So,
all right. Well, let's go to the, I think, more interesting of the two pay-per-views. Let's go to TakeOver 30. Let's start it off with the NXT Tag Team #1 contender. So we have Wild and Mendoza versus Breezango versus Lorcan and Birch. I
got it right.
This one, Lorcan and Birch to take it, and I was so happy to see Breezango get that #1 contender.
I went with my heart on that one, and I got it right.
That was the only one I got wrong from that night.
Oh, I was so happy to be wrong. Breezango deserves a push. So
yeah.
They're awesome. They're very, very, very fun. I definitely like Tyler Breeze better, but they're fun together. They play off each other well. And Fandango is kind of an underappreciated wrestler, I think. And both of them are.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been watching Breeze since his first days in NXT. So he's been overlooked for years. So it's passe to say that about Tyler Breeze at this point.
Sure. I just love him, especially on up, down, down, or as he would call it, left, right. He's just endlessly entertaining. I think he's great on that. I think he's just great in the ring, and I'm happy for the opportunity that they're going to hopefully get out of this. So,
what do you think of that match, Jay?
I thought it was all right. I'm with you. I've always been a huge Tyler Breeze fan. You know, when he used to always come down with the selfie stick, I always thought that was kind of a cool gimmick.
It was a good match, too. I mean, I think the people all in it are decent wrestlers. There wasn't anybody. Lorcan and Birch are just the jobber tag team of NXT. So, they don't ever really win when it matters. So, they're kind of just there to fill a spot. So,
yeah, kind of my one big note from this is just Breezango continues to be a treasure with 3 exclamation points, and I was not even drunk at this point yet, so that's a sober 3 exclamation points. So, here's that.
Thankfully, he was drunk by the main event, which I wish I would have been.
Yep. All right, let's move it on here. So we have next up Finn Balor versus Timothy Thatcher, the only match of the night that I have no notes for.
I mean, it was fine. It's what they did. Thatcher and Finn, it's like a clashing of styles. Thatcher wants that slow European, and Finn is better in matches where it's more fast-paced. So it was kind of a weird match, and it just continues to justify why I think Thatcher's a piece of shit. So he's a good wrestler, but he's a piece of shit that I don't want to see him with this fucking gap in his teeth, and I want to punch him in the face every time I see him at this point because he drives me nuts. So it was good. It was okay. I mean, it wasn't the best match of the night, but it wasn't terrible. It served its purpose. It gave Finn a W. So that's what needed to happen. So I actually think Stretch is right with his Timothy Thatcher, Cassius Ohno comparisons. I think we may be looking at the next Cassius Ohno.
Yeah, Stretch, thoughts look like you had something kind of percolating there.
I mean, it was just honestly just a way for them both to get on the card because Finn wasn't going to be in the ladder match. So the only way they could drive, him getting on the card was Thatcher screwing him out of being in the ladder match. So, I mean, like you guys said, it did its job and just further proves my point that Thatcher is kind of just going to be there. Just furniture in the room at this point.
J-Bone, I saw they came out with the Timothy Thatcher shirt, so I can hook you up with that if you want it. So.
Oh, give me 2, just in case.
Any thoughts there, J-Bone?
I don't really care for either wrestler, but like everyone else said, it was an okay match. It's nothing spectacular, but it wasn't terrible either.
All right. Well, let's just move it on then. We got the ladder match.
Let Jay go first. Let Jay go first on this one.
Reed versus Priest versus Grimes versus Gargano versus Dream. J-Bone, start us off on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I was really excited about this match, and to me, I just felt like there's just a lack of chemistry, especially at the beginning and stuff, and there wasn't much flow to the match. Personally, I was expecting a little bit more, spot fest. I know there's a few spots in there. That one move Gargano did off the ladder where he kind of, I don't know what you kind of call that move, where you put that person through the ladder. Anyways, Velveteen took that cool fall off the cage to the off the ladder to the outside.
Just straight disappears, just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted Gargano to win, but I picked Damian Priest. I just figured he was going to win. So
Cameron Grimes was the star of this match, in my opinion.
He came out looking the strongest out of everybody for performance.
Like he was fucking like the thing about him is he's got a very unique look and he's very different, but you get lulled to sleep with his look and you don't realize how fucking good of a wrestler he actually is. So like he actually is I really wanted him to win when he accidentally got put on the ladder. I'm like, oh, let him win now because this is going to look like a stroke of luck for him to win now. And then he didn't. But I really thought he might win at that moment when he accidentally landed on the ladder.
While I could attest this, I spent about half the match just being like, climb, Grimesy, climb! Yelling.
He was who we were rooting for. Me, Zach, and I think Stretch even. I don't know about you, Jay, but the rest of us were rooting for Grimes by the end of the night.
My prediction sort of went out the window. I'm happy that I was correct with my prediction, but the match kind of made me, into a Grimes fan. I mean, I've always liked Grimes, but made me say, Grimes, they got to win this because he's putting in the strongest showing.
While I completely agree with J-Bone's points on it, but whereas for him it disappointed him, I was kind of willing to look those flaws. I had a ton of fun with this match. I laughed a lot. I mean, we have Grimes with that short ladder at the start, and I thought, okay, just a throwaway gimmick, but then it actually comes back into that match later where he chucks it. We have Gargano.
These ladder matches, though, I mean, they're on top, and they delay it too much where they're like, oh, I better take one more step, and they got to wait for the next guy to come and knock him off the ladder. And I just thought there's I was watching the match with my girlfriend, and I was like, wait, like they're not showing this person. This person hasn't been on screen. They're about to come in and disrupt it. Like,
yeah, definitely was on the more predictable side. It's not the best ladder match I've seen, but again, I just had so much fun with this. I was smiling the whole time. We have I guess just some notes here. We have, Grimes just doing his best Jean-Claude Van Damme impression with the splits on the ladders.
That was cool. So,
and then we have to talk about Candace too, like coming in,
taking
that sweet bump. Like she had a really good Hurricane Rana to the outside, be on top of the Reed's back, which we also touch on Reed here in a second as well. But I mean, everybody looked really strong in this, in my opinion. But let's go back to Reed real quick. Where's my thick boy? What's going on?
It's gone.
They made him into Bam Bam Bigelow for that night.
I'm telling you, it's gone. They something about it must not be like whatever protocol. So it's gone. So they've ruined him. So because that was his thing that was making him unique was the thick boy. You take that away from him, he's just another fat guy that can do some stuff. So he's another Keith Lee then. So you're like
go
ruining
that far.
him. I'm just saying he's a fat guy that can wrestle. So that's what Keith Lee is.
He's got Bronson Reed has more personality than Keith Lee.
He does. We haven't seen a lot of it. It's not like Bronson Reed's cut these lights out promos. He hasn't. So they've been okay, but they're not like the greatest promos I've ever seen. I think taking the thick boy away from him hurts him because I think that's what made him different. So now if he's going to be the colossal Bronson Reed or whatever they're calling him, that doesn't have the same ring as thick boy does. So I don't know what happened, but clearly
it wasn't even like a pejorative. It was thick boy with two C's, implying thick in the good way, and it was boy with two eyes, implying like not like he's like a boy, like a child, but like a fuck boy or a sexy boy or whatever you want to call it. But like, I'm
not trying to rip on him. I'm saying I'm upset that they took that away from him because I think that's what made him special.
Yeah, I mean, do we really need another Colossus in the ring? I mean,
Vince thinks so.
Overall, though, I think this is probably my favorite match of the night.
The problem, and this is going to happen with me forever, and it's unfortunate. Every time there's a ladder match in NXT, it's going to be compared to New Orleans, and this was not anywhere near being as good as that one was. So that, unfortunately, it gets marks against it because it did have some timing issues, and it was very clusterfucky at the beginning. Jay's 100% right about that.
Yeah.
I did like more stuff than I disliked in this match. So it wasn't because there was another match that night that stepped up to the plate, this match didn't have as much pressure on it anymore.
Take us away.
So this match came first, but my match of the whole weekend is Adam Cole and Pat McAfee. So
Absolutely.
that match,
Let's get into it.
that match, there is no way anybody saw that coming. They could have said that tagline for that night. You'll never see it coming because nobody saw that coming. So
Let's start off, Stretch, you want to start this one off, or?
Yeah, I will. I'll throw it out there just at the beginning. The little pre-match promo he cut, like, let's get this started or whatever, was pretty decent. And him and his boys wearing the Cole Sucks shirts was a nice touch. And the fact
he looked
that
like a rookie with his gear on, too. They kind of made him look like a nerdy rookie with his gear, I thought, which I liked.
Deceptive. Yeah, it was a deceptive touch. So the fact that he's out here busting out, fucking swantons to the outside on groups of people and fucking – the most impressive part of the match for me with him was moonsaulting off the top rope, landing on his feet, and then going up. And it was a running box jump, but box jumping up to the top rope and landing perfectly. Like, the athleticism on that, I don't think any of us could have seen coming, and that just impresses him so much more.
And the whole them not really rehearsing supposedly to
they didn't run through that match at all together. It was pretty much on the fly.
And this also, for me personally, I think Adam Cole's the best wrestler in the world right now, and this justified it to me. He just took a guy like that, and granted, the guy's talented and stuff, but Cole gets just as much credit for this match as McAfee does. He was the ring general in that match, and both of these guys get credit for what happened in that ring. You can't just say it was McAfee. So Cole was the right person to be in this match with him. We now know why they did that, because McAfee was green enough that they're like, we need to put him in there with our best guy, essentially.
Props to McAfee too for agreeing to take the sunrise at the end.
Yes. And also selling the hell of it. Like it looked like he's taken that move 100 times over, man. He just it was perfect execution.
It was really, really that. Like I said, that match made the ladder match not have to be Takeover New Orleans ladder match. It just had to be good enough, and it was. So because there was a main event that we're going to eventually get to. So
yeah, but again, we touched it on the top of the show, but I am so sorry I doubted him. Yeah, and I'm so happy to be wrong. And I
too
pray he comes back, and he comes back soon. We cut some great promos, and his talent cannot be denied. J-Bone, you got anything on that one?
No, like everyone else, I was shocked. He just did a hell of a job. And I really enjoyed the match. I like Matt Wally said with Cole, he definitely helped guide that match through and made everything go. And
I was really glad that they didn't let there be too much shenanigans with the other people too. I'm glad that like McAfee did the move, they got out of there, and we didn't see a bunch of shenanigans, because that would have ruined that match if we had seen any more shenanigans out of all of them. That was the right way to go to get them away from ringside there.
And from here on out, I don't think any of us will ever argue that the punters are overpaid on an NFL team anymore.
I mean, that was the best celebrity match in WWE history. Sure. So that was the best showing a celebrity's ever had in a WWE match. So by far.
Like we all figured too, like they weren't going to give Cole or McAfee the win, obviously, but he damn sure looked strong.
Absolutely. Strong at a loss. Cannot be denied.
For sure.
All right. Let's do EO versus Dakota.
Good match.
Yeah, I have solid overall match. I had no complaints. Just
EO, both of them are really good at what they do. And EO, Zach said both times EO did the moonsault, she didn't even look back. She just jumped. Yep. So that's
Darby Allin style.
That's Darby Allin style there. So to me, EO is a much better version of Asuka, because her music's better, her entrance is better, and she does more of the high-flying stuff, whereas Asuka does more mat-based stuff. So I prefer EO to Asuka just because she does more cooler stuff. So,
J-Bone?
I thought it was a real solid match. I enjoyed that match. So
I think Dakota Kai is going to win the belt at some point, because I think she's a star. I think she's a star too. So I don't like Raquel Gonzalez. I don't really like Raquel Gonzalez at all. I think she's pointless personally, but she does nothing for me. So she's just a goon. She's just Dakota's goon.
I like the match, but I was more excited for afterwards when Rhea stood up to Raquel. And I mean, obviously Rhea's got the thing going on with Mercedes Martinez and Robert Stone and all that, but it was cool to see her at least get a little spot on this show.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely. All right. The
Here
worst
it
part
comes.
of the show.
Here it comes.
The title, we have Karrion Kross versus Keith Lee. I have literally, I didn't even write down their names in my notes. I have negative notes on this one.
I'm not saying that none of you guys disagreed with me. I'm just going to reiterate that for about 3 weeks I've been saying this match was going to be a shit show, and it's exactly what I said. It was a shit show. So,
I mean, I don't. Go ahead. I mean, Stretch. Look like you have something to say. I have nothing to say. So
yeah, no, I mean, we got our desired outcome. We got Kross winning the belt.
with an asterisk comes up.
The route they took to get there wasn't the best. The match could have been structured better. There could have been better selling, in my opinion, and they could have taken better care of each other. Obviously, Kross hurt himself, landing on his shoulder from that bump that he took with Lee. But I don't know, man. Like, I don't get it. Like, with Lee, I know we're all not really big Lee guys on this podcast, but I don't get what a lot of the mainstream audience sees with him.
Well, and the other weird thing is that it wasn't a squash match, but it's as close to one as you can get.
Yeah.
And I get it. So obviously it's Wednesday, so we know that Lee's come up. He's been on Raw, but it still just felt like they're just kind of like, it wasn't even like a good fare thee well. It's just like, there's the door. Don't let it hit hit you in the ass on the way out.
Right. And then you get to go up to Raw and wear a skirt and get terrible music.
So I believe that if you go back and watch the Iron Man match between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, I believe there were more rest holds in this match than there is in the 60-minute Iron Man match. There was 8 rest holds in this match. I was counting them because I knew they were coming. So to the people out there, and these are my views only, if you watched this match and thought this match was good, you need to stop watching wrestling because you are clueless. So this match was not good by any stretch of the imagination. This should not have been the main event. They should have done this match second, because I would have rather seen the ladder match, Io and Dakota, or Pat McAfee and Adam Cole in this spot. Any of those 3 matches was for sure better than the shit that I am even going to say this. I actually think Keith Lee looked better in that match than Karrion Kross did. At least Keith Lee did a couple of things. Kross still didn't do anything. Like, we didn't see anything out of him still. I, at one point, even said to Zach, I said, hey, Keith, can you at least throw Kross out of the ring and dive out of the ring on him, do one of those cool things you do? Can you please do that to salvage this match? And there was no Roman Reigns run-in to salvage this train wreck. So at least Strowman and The Fiend had Roman to salvage that. There was no salvaging this. This match was crap.
Yeah.
J-Bone?
I agree. I thought it was a train wreck. I don't know how quick he had dislocated his shoulder or whatever during the match.
Halfway through, I think it was when he got clotheslined. By supposedly that's where it happened.
I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but
props
the match was
to
terrible.
Kross for continuing to wrestle at that point. And I don't dislike Kross, but they're still giving us bare bones with him, and that's all we're going to get with him. I think we should all know that by now. We're not getting anything more than what they're giving us with Kross. If they didn't showcase him at this point, they're not going to showcase him ever. So,
well, we'll be finding out shortly on the next NXT, I guess, what's going to be going forward for Kross. But I mean, I just hope he has a swift recovery, and he gets at least his shot with everything here. He deserves it. I mean, I like to see what he can do. I still, I'm willing to root for the guy. So,
right.
So overall thoughts then?
I would give this takeover a B-. It would have been probably a B+ if the main event hadn't been a pile of shit.
Stretch, what do you think?
B overall. I agree with Wally on the main event testament. It could have been better, but we kind of knew what we were getting with those 2 guys, with how little they were giving us on the week-to-week programming. Everything else all around was solid, if not damn near amazing. A ladder match and Cole and McAfee being examples.
There's been 30 takeovers. This one probably falls somewhere in that 15, 16, 7, like in the middle. It wasn't top 10. It wasn't bottom 10. It kind of falls in the middle somewhere, I think. Maybe somewhere between 15-20 probably would be my guess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
J-Bone, what'd you think overall?
Yeah, I agree with Wally. I had a B- as well for the grade, so
Yeah, I'd go solid
it
B.
wasn't bad.
I mean, again, the main event was weak, but overall, I was
Yeah.
very satisfied with the rest of the matches. There wasn't anything that was really that bad. So
I'm a little bit more critical than
Yeah.
some of you guys. So when the main event sucks dick like that, I'm penalizing it for it. So
Yeah, I know you guys liked the ladder match. I was a little bit disappointed, or I would have gave it a little higher grade, but still a solid pay-per-view.
all right. So then we did have a nice little wager going on between the group of us for a crisp fiver from the losers. So Wally, you were the timekeeper for this. So what do you got?
so J Bone won the pot.
All right, J-Bone,
So
take it away, making
he-
it rain over here.
He ended up with 15 points. He should also thank Stretch because Stretch was in the driver's seat after takeover, and then all four
Yep.
wheels came off.
Thanks,
In
Stretch.
about an hour, Eli went from winning to losing.
Yeah. Well, I had faith that MVP would win the U.S. title. I flip-flopped the two Oscar
Women.
matches.
That one.
And then I picked Dominic to win, so that was half the matches on the SummerSlam card.
We decided to wait. We decided to wait a couple of the matches, and we're gonna have to change the way we did that because I essentially lost because I picked the wrong match wrong. So
Yeah.
So
I actually picked the most matches right, but I picked the ladder match wrong, so I got fucked.
where did
So-
second and third place come in there, Wally?
Jay had 15, Zach had 14, Eli had 13, and I had 12.
Oh, wow.
So, very close.
So-
I mean, that was fun. We'll have to do that again sometime.
We will definitely. It was definitely fun. It made us care a little bit. The problem is when you pick without your heart, and then you're like, shit, I got to root for this person to win, even though I don't want him to win. I don't like to do that very often. It's harder for me.
Had I picked a little bit more with my heart, I actually probably would have actually won this. And then I actually had Pat to win that one because I was trying to steal a point. I knew he
Right.
wasn't going to.
So
but it was a calculated gamble.
If you would have picked Cole, then you and Eli would have
Yeah.
been, or you and Jay would have been tied.
Yeah.
So, and the only pick Jay really made that was he picked fat ass. So Jay got fucked by Keith Lee.
Yep.
Damn you, Keith Lee.
He's never picking you again, you fat piece of shit.
Yeah.
So it was fun. Like I said,
Yeah.
we're just going to have to change the way we live and learn. So, I mean, I'm glad. I mean, whoever wins in this, it is what it is. So Jay got some cash. He's going to go buy a microphone with it. So it all works out in the end.
Very easy game. Making it rain. I love it. All right. Do we have any final thoughts before we move on to the next segment?
We can, before we get to that, we can at least make fun of Fat Ass for Monday Night Raw, where he looked like a cheerleader wearing skirts. So
This is true. And
There was
different music.
it was a fabulous call up, if you ask me. I was really upset though, and you guys all know this, but I'm still going to say it. I was really upset when Keith Lee cut his terrible promo and named off all Randy Orton's nicknames and then named off all his nicknames and did not refer to himself as Fat Ass. I was very disappointed that he forgot that very important nickname.
Well, you have to hit the social media streams a little bit harder next time. Make sure that goes a bit more trending. So
He
All
didn't
right.
want to get sued because he figured you copyrighted that, you know.
All right, Stretch, you got any final
That's
thoughts
good,
on the
Jay, bro.
pay-per-views this
That's
weekend?
funny, Jay. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, it shows that WWE should lean in, not that they should lean into celebrity guests more, but lean into the younger crop of talent or the up-and-coming talent that may or may not be proven more. They might surprise you.
Yeah,
I mean-
WWE doesn't do that shit. They
say
are
it's-
so afraid to do that.
It's
Yeah,
been
they,
working
they
for
tease
AEW.
ya, but they never go fully through.
Yeah. Well, maybe this will be a change of heart for Vince.
Well, maybe not Vince, but maybe Triple H will have at least maybe a little
Oh,
bit more
I
sway when
do
it
have-
comes to
I do
decision
have
making. Go
one
ahead.
another takeaway. Sorry, I meant to talk about it when I talked about McAfee and Cole, but I just find it funny like how McAfee had virtually no wrestling experience. You know, puts on a hell of a match, arguably the greatest of the weekend with Cole, and then you compare him to another NFL superstar that WWE has recently done business with, and Rob Gronkowski.
Mhm.
Rob Gronkowski single-handedly held up the WrestleMania tapings because he was hesitant about doing a 10-foot bump into a crash pad, And then
Yes.
Vince McMahon goes over, old 70-something-year-old Vince McMahon, and does it like flawlessly. Like,
Yes.
how is the punter stronger than the tight end? Like,
Yeah, that was the first time I've ever been like, God damn it, Gronk,
Yeah.
stop being a pussy.
right.
Well, that was one of those clips where it felt like they put it up to be like, look how awesome Vince is, but it
Yeah.
comes off making like,
Yes.
look how much
Gronk
of a
looked like a
wuss that
pussy.
Gronk is. Exactly.
Right.
Like, I felt like they didn't quite think that clip
And-
through releasing
like,
that.
in a night where they told him, like, hey, you do this, you'll win a title. Granted, it's the 24/7 title, but hey, you do this, you're winning a title. That's all you got to do is this one move. And he's still like, I don't know. Like,
They were on Monday Night Raw. They were like bragging because R-Truth is like the 38-time Waffle House champion. I'm like, really? Who
Hey,
gives
that's
a shit?
that's a prestigious title, damn it.
Yeah. Can we say Hall of Famer?
Hey, we did Monday night. A certain guy on here, one of his predictions came true Monday night.
Yeah, my prediction by way of Coach Joe.
Hey, you take it. What was that prediction?
We got to see Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax team up after like 2 weeks, 3 weeks of build, and then they're fighting like in the ring, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, we teaming up? Yeah, let's do this."
I
Okay.
mean, if Shayna's gonna call Nia Jax Haystacks Calhoun, that's fucking comedy.
No.
So, and then
Classic.
Pimp Slapper, like, I don't want to see that for 2 months, but I can handle a month of watching the two of them have the belts and kind of not like each other. That's okay for a while.
Well, I
Like,
mean,
if this,
WWE's proven that, if they're at a loss for good tag teams, throw an odd couple pairing together and they'll run with it. The Bar being a good example of multiple
yes,
tag title reigns, and they worked out. They were really good together. I like them together.
I don't.
The
I don't
Miz and
think
R-Truth.
But
Yeah.
but WWE,
They were
yeah.
great together.
Miz and Sandow, Sandow and Cody Rhodes, Kofi Kingston, Evan Bourne. I mean, Kofi Kingston, CM Punk. Just odd couples is WWE's fallback when they don't have tag teams, which they don't.
Yes, very true.
I don't necessarily think they're going to keep Shayna and Nia together for a long time, but I do think the more wheels are coming off for Sasha and Bailey this coming weekend.
Which is, it's probably going to lead to Shayna and Nia winning on Sunday.
Sure.
I
And
think
there's
so.
potential there. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like you
So,
said,
and then we get what the payoff for this was 3 years ago.
Which
We may finally get the payoff, which is Bailey versus Sasha.
Which do you think they're doing that at Survivor Series now? If the way this storyline's running out, or
I don't know if they can wait that long. That's the
Right.
problem. So if
Yeah.
like they lose this weekend, then the wheels like have to start coming off. Like you can't just be like, oh well, we lost. Like
We're
they need
down
to lose
3 belts. We only have the one
Yeah.
left. So
They
Right.
need
what's
to
in October?
lose.
Hell in a Cell? Is that the pay-per-view in
Uh,
October? Or?
Well, Clash of the Champions is at the end of September. So that's actually the next one after Payback. So
it just feels weird to have that major blow off, that
I
we've
know.
all been waiting for.
I don't
on a
disagree
B-show
with you.
pay-per-view.
I just don't know if you make it all the way to November with that. That's a long time from now.
WWE's shown that they're willing to stretch out storylines. So who knows?
Yep.
Stretch storylines or drop them entirely and then pick them up out of nowhere.
Sure.
I love Sasha, but I want Shayna with a belt Sunday night. Even if it has to be with Nia, I want a belt on Shayna. If this is what it takes to get a belt on Shayna, I'm willing to sacrifice being with Nia at this point. So,
You're willing to sacrifice being with Nia? Who knew?
yes.
Oh.
All right. So at rest before we become a Raw podcast, let's move on to the next segment. It's going to be
Okay.
the scenario of the week. The rules are they know the scenario ahead of time. No repeat answer. Champ gets to go first. We don't discuss any answers ahead of time. This week it's going to be a bit more of a low key one. I'm not, no big storyline for me on this one. We're just going to be looking at probably more on the SummerSlam side of things, but basically what they could do if they could rebook one match, what match that would be, and where it would go in the future. And I'll pick the one I find the most interesting, and we'll go from there. So we have Stretch as our champion. What do you got, bud?
So for this one, I went with a match from SummerSlam that I kind of just touched on before when I gave my opinion on it. I went with Dominic and Seth. I mean, a great match in and of itself, but for a few things that I would rebook and change. Again, I would make it a bit shorter. It felt like it just kind of dragged on. It was a fast-paced match. There was a lot of cool shit going on, but it didn't need to be as long as it was to get in all that they wanted to do. Again, I wouldn't have his mother come out on the ramp and have Seth kind of talk to her and everything. I'd keep her in the back, have him kiss her before, he goes out. leave it at that. She doesn't need to come out. Like, that kind of added nothing to the match for me, so I'd just keep her in the back the entire time. I liked that Seth dressed up, you know, in old Rey Mysterio garb to fuck with him and like get in his head. So I would have Murphy also do that. I would have picked another iconic attire from Ray's past and have Murphy dress up in that, or kind of harp on that as well to further get in his head and fuck with him. For attires on the other end, I would take the hoodie off of Dominic's attire. Streamline that so he's not, you know, fucking with it the entire match. And I would tweak it to where before the match he said, you know, Dad, I don't want you to get involved. Like, let me do this on my own. But to further the storyline in my world, I would have had Dom, you know, have him sort of be a bit, you know, scared or, you know, unsure, like, of his first match, and it's on a big stage with Seth Rollins, this big, you know, superstar and everything, and have him sort of be unsure and, you know, sort of ask Ray for help and say, hey, look, if I get into some shit, like, I need you to help me out. Like, I think I can do this, but, like, I need you, you know, to help me out if I get in a bind. And so I would have him, you know, get in that bind, and then Ray would try and help him, and Murphy would take him out or something, but it would look like that Ray didn't help him. So that way it'd kind of kick into motion, you know, the Dominic heel turn that we all want, or that we're all expecting out of this. So we'd have, you know, the bad blood start to begin with Dominic towards his dad and say, you didn't help me, or you weren't there for me. And you weren't there for me in 2005 when Eddie Guerrero was trying to be dad and all of that. So a couple small tweaks with that match, but I would just, you know, change those. So we'd make a streamlined experience, shorter, you know, less, you know, family interaction. You'd have more mind games going on with the attire, and you'd have, I'd feel like, a better dynamic leading towards the heel turn that we think is coming.
Sure.
I actually agreed. I remember thinking, like, some of the stuff you just said, Stretch. I actually remember thinking that I wish that that's the way it would have. I thought that because Mysterio got involved, I actually was thinking, hey, I really thought Dominic was going to turn Monday night because Ray got involved and he told him not to. Right. I had that vibe that night. I was kind of disappointed when Retribution attacked him because I actually thought Dominic was going to turn Monday night.
And don't get me wrong, I did like that for his first match. He was super duper confident and everything, and it's cool for him. It makes him seem like a badass. But for the story they're trying to tell, I would have rather had him be sort of unsure and be like, you know, Dad, I don't know. Like, I think I got this, but I might need you. Like, be there for me.
Yeah, that's a good answer. J-Bone, what do you have?
I must have misinterpreted the question because
oh no!
I didn't know. I just thought we were picking from any pay-per-view.
Get the time machine.
Yep, get your time machine. All right. Well, J-Bone,
I'll just wing it. I would go with the Fiend Strowman match. I was hoping maybe Alexa Bliss would come down and maybe help the Fiend win, do something to cheat, and you know, stick with him, or, you know, go heel or whatever, because, you know, that's still, you still don't know what's going on with that whole scenario. And I don't know, I just thought I would have her interfere and, you know, help the Fiend win. I know they try to make the Fiend look unstoppable or unbeatable, where he doesn't need help from anybody, but
that's a good answer, J-Bone. I mean, that would have been mine if I was a contestant on my own segment. It was just been like,
yeah, because I thought we were just picking a match of any pay-per-view in the past.
But no, I mean, that's definitely mine. I would have just, booked it so that we would have seen what Alexa Bliss is, even if it's like if again, me even going in the future, it would have been like she's full on Sister Abigail, maybe even like almost like a tag team with Bray Wyatt, like just because she's so supernatural, she's supposed to be like this, you know, basically demon goddess thing. Like, it doesn't matter man or woman, she's gonna be a, you know, just a badass motherfucker, basically. So
that was like my answer I toyed with, but I felt like it was like the route that like other guys would go, so I didn't want to take it from them. I was gonna make it more of a cinematic. I was, if I was to pick that, I would have made it more cinematic. Sure, you know, there's the whole horror aspect and everything, and I would have, since it was a street fight, and we talked about, you know, they didn't barely do anything street fighty or false count anywhere, like that kind of stuff. I was going to have them wrestle in the back and then somehow make it into the Funhouse set and then play into the Roman aspect of it, because we all kind of knew he was going to come back. So I was going to have them hear like a dog barking on the outside and like look out the window and then have Roman come in.
Nice.
So that's what I would have changed about that one.
All right, Wally, what you got?
I would change the Sonya Mandy match if I could, because I touched on this earlier. I think Mandy's garbage, and I don't think she needs to be around. Sonya's the one I'd rather see with a. Obviously, I know why it happened.
Yeah, but
I
let's
still-
say that didn't happen. So let's say it's
Then-
like best circumstances. She didn't have any kind of home invasion.
Sonya's winning that match for sure then, because Mandy's garbage. So it's not there. It's never going to happen with me, and I'm just never going to like her. I haven't liked her since day one. Sonya was always the more appealing of the two when they were together, and I just think she's got way more upside. I think she's got way more. Her character will develop. It's already developed more than Mandy, and she's a better wrestler than Mandy is right now. And I don't think Sonya is completely done training and learning, and I don't think they've used her to the best of their capabilities yet. So
then go from there. So she wins this match, let's say. So
well, she wins
what's
this
the future
match
for her then?
Then you find a way to get her in the. I mean, I don't. We're making the assumption that Bayley and Sasha are going to be in a feud, so it'd be hard to work your way into a title match on SmackDown because of that. So either of them would not be in that. That's where I would ideally want that person to end up before the year's over. I think that they would have to find a secondary feud for Sonya after Mandy. If she would have won, I would have put her in the feud with Naomi maybe, just because Naomi, whether all of us don't like her, but she's got clout on that show. So if you put her in a program with Naomi and she wins, comes out of that program looking strong, then you can push her into a program with Nikki Cross or somebody else then to get into a title shot scenario. I mean, you could do that with either of them. I just think Sonya, I keep reading stuff that Mandy's going to get a push from all this, and I'm just cringing thinking about it. So I'm like, if I had to pick between Mandy and Naomi, oh boy, that's a tough one.
So pretty good answers. J-Bone was really good despite the fact that he had to pivot super quick. Just out of just the morbid curiosity then, J-Bone, what was your other answer that you
Yes, Jay, I'm curious also.
I picked the Montreal Screwjob.
Okay.
I just thought, the Bret Hart Shawn Michaels match. What was that, Matt? I mean,
I definitely wouldn't have picked that. I'm glad that happened because that changed wrestling forever that night. So it was a WWE title match at Survivor Series.
Series, that's okay.
And Bret was leaving. Bret was leaving the next night, and he didn't want to relinquish the title. I mean, it was definitely some chicanery and all kinds of bad stuff going on.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
That's what I had down. I just had a whole thing, but.
All right. No, I still like it.
Eventually,
good job pivoting.
Eventually, Zach, we will do it more fold like that. And Jay, at that point, the screw job can be his answer. Neither of us will take it, and we'll let him have his moment then. So
sounds good. Yeah, we'll let him time machine it up. But this week, though, I'm going to give it to our first two-time champion, Stretch. I mean, as much as I want to see Alexa Bliss, just what she would go and do that with. Just the angle with Dom and just tighten that matchup was, would have been really good just overall for the flow of it. And then I just think he has probably some of the more exciting storylines to come out of him going forward, especially, heel, father versus son type stuff. And maybe even if he teams up with, like the enemy Seth Rollins, it's just a lot of really interesting angles they could take with that. So I'm going to give it to Stretch. So you are our first
Stretch
defending, stretching 2 times. Stretch XL. All right. Let's then go to the kind of Wednesday Night War, because it's not really Wednesday Night War anymore, but that's what we're going to call it. Because I'm not going to make another title or make the editor make another title for this.
It's the Wednesday Night Wars. It just isn't the Wednesday Night Wars for 1 week in August and a couple weeks in September.
Yep. And it's the show too big to keep on a Wednesday. They had to move it to a Saturday and then do jack shit with that idea.
Which was terrible. Which was a terrible way to market that, in my opinion.
Yep.
So too big for Wednesday. So instead of just saying what they should have said, sorry, we're preempted because of the NBA.
And then
we're
preempted again because the game went over.
Right. So the show didn't start until 6:30.
All right, who wants to talk about this one? Who wants to start this one off for me?
Which one? Which show are we starting with?
AEW.
It was better than I thought it was going to be. So, but it wasn't like the tag team matches were the best thing that came out of the FTR Private Party match was fantastic.
Yes.
But, I mean, all of us on here like Private Party, so we know what happens when you put Private Party in the ring with anybody. It's going to look good, and FTR is FTR. That match was really good, and if you put the Elite together in a match, it's going to be the best match on the show, probably. It doesn't matter who they're fighting. I'm pretty sure at some point earlier on a podcast I said if you put those guys in the ring with jobbers, they're going to make those guys look good. There were some really cool spots in that match. They actually did like the Indie Taker Meltzer driver and then pick the guy up and threw him up into the one-winged angel with Omega. There was some really cool stuff. And the Dark Order is starting to look like decent jobbers now. They're not like washed up jobbers to me. They're actually like starting to be pretty good in the matches where we know they're not going to win.
Now that Brody squashed Cody, they're looking real strong there.
That would probably be my biggest problem with that show. I now know why it happened, but I still don't think Brody needed to squash Cody.
Yeah.
And Cody did not need a stretcher, and he did not need all the drama around it. And I know everybody on here likes Cody. I'm starting to lose a little bit of respect for Cody because I think he feels like he has to do things to draw extra attention to himself because he's not in the world title picture, so he has to use tax or get busted open every week or get taken out on a stretcher. It was too much drama.
The entire Nightmare family got taken out at the end there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was definitely – yeah, it was when Brandy came out and the girl from the Dark Order beat her up. I was like, all right, that was cool.
Anna Jay.
So yeah, that part of it, it was just way too much crap at the end of that match that they didn't really need. I mean, the Dark Order has proved stuff. Brody Lee fears mic skills. I'm gonna keep saying it because I think he's trash on the microphone. His promo that night was garbage again. So
that being said, though. They
keep
had
him
to give
away from a microphone.
They had to give a win. They had to give a championship to the Dark Order
to make it legitimate. I'm fine with that. I'm fine.
But the way they did it, though, is just
agreed.
It was too much crap, and it was some of it was unnecessary crap. So it was too much. I mean, the Orange Cassidy Jericho stuff on there was fine. I don't know how excited I am about a Mimosa Battle Royal or whatever the fuck they're calling it.
Mimosa Mayhem, thank you.
Mimosa Mayhem. Like,
please end that feud already.
Jericho, sometimes you come up with really good ideas like the Money in the Bank, and sometimes you come up with ideas like this where I'm a little sketchy.
No.
Let's talk about that MJF promo, though.
That was good, and we know his lawyer can talk too.
Yeah,
so,
well, I just love the someday I want a family and like the papa.
His a cool little Easter egg. I don't know if you guys noticed or how deep your knowledge of like wrestlers' outside activities outside of wrestling is, but his lawyer's name was Mark Sterling. So Mark Sterling is the guy. So MJF was trained by Kurt Hawkins. Kurt Hawkins, one of his good friends that he goes like on figure hunts with him and Zack Ryder, his name is Mark Sterling. So that's where that came from.
All right.
Yeah. So that was one thing I was like, oh shit, I know that because I watched Broski and Kurt Hawkins their figure hunts.
The Britt Baker thing in the dentist's office with Penelope and Kip Jonas was fabulous too.
Yeah.
So we've officially labeled Kip Sabian the next Jonas brother, so I just call him Kip Jonas from now on. So that part was good too. I just the end anything with the women that night was other than the Britt Baker promo was crap to me. I don't give a shit about the women's tag team tournament. I didn't care about that. And the end. So like the last half hour of that show was kind of a waste to me. So
Eddie Kingston's trying to form some new stable, the Death Pentagon, I guess. They're I don't know how the bastard's gonna feel about that when he comes back.
Yeah, what happened to Pac? All of a sudden, I guess he's irrelevant now.
I think he's stuck overseas.
He is. Him and your boy Pete Dunne are stuck.
Yeah. So that just I don't know where they're going with that. Like whenever everything goes back to normal, are they gonna just drop the Death Triangle storyline altogether? Because I was excited for that. I liked Pac with the Lucha Bros. Of the idea.
I did too. I very much liked that. I thought that was a really cool idea.
So I don't know where this is going. Is Kingston going to be some master manipulator or he's trying to recruit people or?
We also saw FTR, they're totally trying to make Hangman a pawn.
Mhm.
They're totally using him as a pawn, and eventually that's going to come out, but he doesn't see it yet.
And Kenny's further unwinding with the
Yes.
post-match beatdowns
Kenny,
too.
Yeah.
Kenny wanting to be the cleaner again.
J-Bone, what'd you think?
What? Just in general, the whole show, or
No,
Yeah.
or what
just
we're talking about?
Anything about the show.
No, I thought it was a pretty good show. I mean, we just talked about everything. I thought the Cody Rhodes thing was a bit much and everything, and I did enjoy the tag matches. Who's that? Who's that one girl they showed that had a belt that was
Thunder Rosa.
Thunder Rosa.
Okay,
I'm excited.
yeah.
She's awesome. I hope she
I don't
beats
know.
Sheeta.
Okay, she's a good wrestler.
Yeah, so NWA, they had a YouTube show, or like they put on a weekly show on YouTube before COVID kind of shut that down. But they had some pretty decent programming on there, and she was the NWA Women's Champion, and she decent worker. So
Okay,
Cool.
anything's better than Sheeta right now at this point for me.
This is very, very, very
Also, too, nobody touched on, we saw Brian Cage fall even further down the card.
yeah.
Ricky Starks was actually funny
Yeah, I was
when he
gonna
made
say
fun of
that,
Darby
yeah.
Allin. As much as I don't like Ricky Starks, that promo was hilarious. So
Yeah, but like,
somewhere in there, Starks has some charisma, apparently.
I did like that whole match and segment and everything, but like Cage, we just booked this guy up to be this monster and everything, and this contender for the world title, and he throws in a towel once, or Taz throws in a towel once, and then he never gets another shot, and he's falling down
like
the card.
bottom of the mid card all of a sudden.
yeah.
It was funny when Ricky Starks did the coffin drop from the second rope. Get on the top rope, you pansy.
All right. Let's switch over to NXT. I'll start this off with my biggest note. That's in huge, huge handwriting. It's just, Jesus Christ, that Gargano bump.
What the? Yeah. Ridge Holland, that was his fault. There's no one else you can blame on that except for him. So
And
Scary.
Reports were coming out too, because NXT was taped. Reports were coming out that Gargano suffered this crazy bump on his head, and Gargano was the one apologizing to all the workers because they had to stop midway and then start shooting again and reshoot some stuff. And so Gargano was apologizing to everybody for fucking up, like he was the one who was responsible for it, and that just shows how much of a class act Gargano
Exactly.
is.
Yep.
Like, hey, I got dropped on my head. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My fault. My bad.
Mulligan,
that was
do
a
over.
that was a decent match. Other than, I mean, Gargano, considering what happened to him, I mean, that match was good.
Thank God he was okay. I mean, that just shows his physical conditioning is where it needs to be, because I'm shocked
That looked bad.
that A,
He
he
did.
even finished that match, and then B, he was able to show up at that pay-per-view and even do anything.
Mhm.
Just good, good for him. And then, other than that, I don't have a ton of notes. Just
The six-man tag was good.
Yeah.
With Breezango and Swerve. That was a good match also.
Cole and McAfee cut great promos.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
well,
they did.
McAfee cut a really. Cole didn't really
Specifically.
do much. Yeah, Cole didn't really do much. I think Cole kind of let McAfee have his turn there.
Yeah, well, with Cole, like I had said on the predictions podcast, I believe with Cole it was more quality over quantity with that one.
So he just said, "I'm going to make you my bitch." He let
Well, and
McAfee have the.
and he beat up the security guards like.
Yeah, without touching,
Mhm.
his opponent, which is always kind of a power move. But
I personally, I did like the last match, even though Finn didn't
Yes.
win.
Finn
I
versus
liked
Dream was a great match.
when Cameron Grimes came out and sat on the ladder. That was awesome. Like
Yep.
Cameron Grimes coming out and sitting on the ladder. And I don't always like it when everybody that's involved comes down. It was okay that night. Like, I'm glad Grimes was the first one to get up in the ladder and start laughing at them, because that was hilarious.
Everybody definitely
So-
got their shit in with that one.
So I definitely liked that match better than the main event on AEW. So I liked that match better. So one wasn't a squash. So
All right, so let's round robin this, and let's figure out which show wins the night. I'll start this one off. I'm actually going to give the edge by just a hair to NXT on this one. I think overall the show was a little bit put together. I think every match, start to finish, it was just a really good show. So I'm going to give this one to NXT. J-Bone.
It was close, but I gave the nod to NXT just a hair.
Perfect.
I remember after we watched, I think that these weeks like this are tough sometimes because you watch one first and then you watch the other one. And I remember after watching NXT, I told Zach, I said, good luck to AEW, because I'm like, this was a really good NXT show, I thought. So AEW was good, but I'm giving NXT my vote too.
Get out the brooms because I picked NXT as well.
All right. When NXT does win, they seem to win by a sweep. We
do have a tiebreaker going forward, though.
Let the people know.
If it ever is a tie, Coach Joe will be the tiebreaker. We're not going to ratings anymore because AEW wins the ratings every week, so it's not fair to go to that. So Coach Joe is the tiebreaker, and we didn't need him this week. He also is the only person that didn't pick NXT this week.
We'll have a phone a friend for our tiebreaker now.
Exactly.
So I just think that makes more sense. I'd rather have somebody else's opinion of the two shows than the ratings that we have no say in, really. So,
all right.
So NXT won going away this week.
XT takes it. So we always appreciate when people like, comment, and subscribe to the podcast. And as always, we have the Nut Prize from J-Bone. I did actually hope and put him on the spot. Hope he has something. J-Bone, what are we giving away this week? But
I forget what these are called.
Well, let's see what it is. We'll help you out.
A magnetic chip clipper.
Yeah, chip clipper.
There you go.
It looks like a nice kind of a see-through purple and maybe a lavender there.
And it's got a magnet so you can put it on your refrigerator. So
when you're not using it. That's amazing.
There you go.
That is a perfect, absolute giveaway prize. So then let's change it over to our prognosticator. Stretch, I need a prediction from you for this week.
I'm getting that I feel like we're going to have a little break from our next NXT takeover because rumors are that NXT is filming about a month's worth of stuff for their next programming block. So that would put us at not having a takeover till about October, beginning of October, end of September. Yeah. I feel like we might see since WWE loves to bring back old WCW ideas, I might feel like we'd be seeing a NXT takeover Halloween Havoc.
Okay.
That might be a thing.
And maybe they'll bring Abdul the Butcher back to get electrocuted.
Yes, maybe they'll do that Temple of Doom match or whatever, where they have the electric chair in the middle.
I just feel like it's a classic concept. Like people love the sets with the gargoyles and the pumpkins and everything, and I feel like NXT would do that justice. So
I love horror. I love Halloween. So if you want to give me some theming around it, I'm there.
Look what NXT did to the War Games. They revived the War Games completely and have made it. Some of these War Games matches have been better than the older ones. So they've made it where they took that concept. So if they do try to do something with Halloween Havoc, they're the people I want doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm kidding me. You already sold me. If it doesn't happen, I'm disappointed. Thanks, Stretch. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening, watching. We appreciate it. And as always, we'll see you next week. And if life puts you in a pin, keep kicking out that 2 count. We'll see you guys later.
Stretch 2 times.
Stretch 2 times. XL.